So things, what if everything is our creation? What if all the thoughts we are thinking are going out into the world and materializing? And if the thoughts are coming from, if we're tuned into a channel, a frequency based on emotion, feeling, then if I'm thinking about things and creating things that I don't want to happen, could I look at that energy? So could you start to look at that? I what and release. What do you really want to do? What's important to you? And could you notice anything that comes up? Like if you could you just totally relax right now? Totally relax and allow yourself to view on the screen of your mind what seems like a very happy experience. Similar to the release we did on relationships, the ideal relationship. What's kind of the ideal life? What seems fun? What seems easy? Seems joyful? Could you allow onto the screen of your mind, visualize with all your senses as best as you can what you really want to do, what you'd enjoy doing? What is an external representation of your happiness as it goes from within to without? And could you allow that to be there for a moment? Could you sit with that for a moment? Could you allow yourself to get in the driver's seat of life, the director's chair, and have a vision of a really enjoyable movie in this life? And could you open up and release any attachment to any of that? Any clinging, any forcing? And just let that go out into the world. All of those beautiful thoughts, just let them drift by. Go do what they do. They're coming back at some point. And what comes up for you, that's the opposite of that. I can't get what I want. It's not working out. – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – I'm scared it won't happen, or I'm going to lose what I have. Just notice any of these counter thoughts, this counter energy behind those thoughts. Could you go behind any thoughts that are seemingly against this vision and notice that they're coming up to clear the way for your vision? Could you receive them and go behind them and allow that energy? Could you allow that energy to move and just be with the noticer of the emotion? Could you even allow that emotion to come up more? And could you let it go? Would you let it go? When? And what seems to be going on in your life right now? Where's the movie at? And could it just be okay as it is just for now? Could this scene be okay? There's a lot of story arcs in movies. Could you allow wherever it is right now to be okay? Just accept what is, just for now. And the only way to create a movie is to visualize it. How would you like this movie, or at least this installment in your series, to go? If you took this happiness that's always with you somewhere in there, even if it doesn't seem like it, and put it out there, what's the happy scene where everything that you want and is really important to you is appearing on the screen. And could you allow yourself to visualize as best you can using all your senses, sight, sound, touch, smell, feeling? What's the happy scene, the joyous scene, the loving scene? Could you just have fun with it, just for now? There might be some counters coming up. We'll get there. Right now, could you just enjoy the scene? At any time you can set stuff aside for later to deal with it later. For now, could you just enjoy creating your movie as you want, as you will? And you have an incredible production team ready to jump in and help. Though, let's make sure that team's getting the right instructions. Could you notice any counter thoughts, any fear that maybe it won't happen? It can't happen. It's not there. Could you acknowledge any of that counter creation, counter thought? Could you go behind any of the cannots? It's not going to happen. This is why. Any of those clever explanations of this energy, and allow that feeling, that energy to have your focus. And could you notice if there's any sense of wanting control, security, approval, separation, anything that comes up for you? And whichever one seems up the most, could you just allow that just for now? Could you make it bigger? Could you want that more? Could you allow whatever you're feeling, wherever it is, to do what it does as you watch and feel it? And could you release any of that counter energy? Would you release it if you could? When could you? And what would you really like to put out into creation? What would you assign your production team? You're the director. How is this movie? What's it look like? What's it feel like? What's it sound like? Could you visualize the movie you actually want, you'd actually choose? What would be a reflection of the happiness, love, joy that you really are, and that the entire production team wants to give you? Could you give yourself a preview as if it is now? Could you allow that scene to be here now? Could you be in it? And could you surrender it to the production team? Turn it over, let them handle it. Could you surrender and know that it's done? And what about those things that are coming up for the movie that aren't what you want? What are you giving to the production team that's other than what you want? Is there any scenes that aren't working out? What's the difficulty? What's the challenge? What's scary? Does it seem like it could never happen? And really just taking it easy and allowing any stuck or stagnant energy and the thoughts that go with it about this movie not going that beautiful way you chose. And could you go behind any of these counter thoughts? It's okay to have them. Could you notice the thoughts and go behind them and notice the energy? Could you allow that feeling, whatever it is, wherever it is? And does that feeling seem to have anything to do with wanting control, security, or approval? Any wanting at all tied up with that energy? And could you allow that? Could you notice if there's anywhere that wanting energy or whatever you're feeling seems to be stuck or accumulated? Maybe in your gut, in your chest, could be anywhere. And could you focus in on that feeling, whatever it is, wherever it is? Just dive in. Could you allow this energy to be there, to do what it does? Let it flow, feel it, and ignore any thoughts attempting to explain the energy just for now. Could you sit with this feeling for a moment? And could you let it go? Would you let it go if you could? When could you let it go and get back to filming what you prefer? And production can look a little crazy sometimes. Things might be out of place or seeming that way. Some things may be going well or seeming that way. Could you just allow wherever your movie is at right now to be okay? Could you accept what is just for now? Knowing that it's all part of producing whatever you want, whatever you choose. Could it be okay where things are right now? Could you let it be as it is right now? Okay, accepting this moment's creation right here. You don't have to. Just could you be okay with how things are right now? How they seem. And could you release, just turn it over, allow progress? Maybe the progress is the perfection. Maybe not. And once again, conscious of what you truly desire, prefer, choose, and how this movie unfolds or goes now. Could you get into the scene, visualize your ideal movie? What would be a very happy, enjoyable scene for you? What would be an ideal act for you to star in? Could you be in the scene you'd really like? You really like now? How does it feel What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Could you engage all of your senses in this scene, this happy scene, this loving scene, this joyous scene? What do you enjoy in life in this movie? And could you be in that scene for another moment, here and now? And could you surrender it? Give it up to production. All that is to conspire for you. You have the best team. Could you turn it over? Release any attachment, any forcing, any wanting, just for now. Let it be handled. Let it be done. Could you do that? And is there anything that you've been thinking about in this process other than what you'd actually like to create? What's coming up? Is there any fear? Is there any terrible scenes? Any feeling like it can't happen? I'm not good enough for that. I shouldn't want that. It's not going to work. My production crew's on strike. Anything that's come up for you counter to what you'd really like, could you allow that now? Simply welcome what seems to be happening. Any negative signals or instructions that are going out. And could you go behind, ignore any of these words and pictures that are sneaking into your scene and feel the energy that those flow to? Could you make that energy your focus? Maybe dig up more of it, allow more of it up. Could you feel more and ignore the think less? Ignore the thoughts, think less, feel more. Could you do that? Can't really stop the thoughts. Could you focus on the feeling instead? And could you allow that feeling just as it is, without any modification, any explanation? Just riding that feeling wave? And could you release any of that energy? Would you release that energy if you could? Just cancel those instructions. When could you release that energy and those horror scenes or lame scenes from the movie? And just for now, could it be okay where things are? Could you allow whatever is going on right now, wherever the movie's at, to be just as it is, accept it? Maybe it's a perfect part of the production. Could it be that just for now? Okay in the progress. Could you accept, allow what is now as best you can? Could that be okay? And could you once more go into the scene that you truly enjoy? You can have any scene, any actors, any events, any props. Could you feel, see, touch, even taste and smell what's going on in your ideal life, just as it seemed right now? Could you hold in mind whatever it is you'd like, prefer, your ideal, in as much detail as you can allow? And could you be in that scene now? Are you in that scene now? Could you let yourself be in that scene, in that life, here and now? Could you allow that? Could you be in your creation, your film, right now? You know where it's going. Could you let yourself be in the preview? Watch that happy scene, be in it right now. And could you surrender? Turn it over to infinite production, to the all that is creative team. Would you surrender and let it happen? Let it be. And no. When could you surrender and watch what you've created?